Hey, it's Whynstein, and today we're going to talk about one of the most important inventions in road safety. It was inspired by a cat. A dark night, thick fog, a narrow road on the very edge of a cliff. The driver can barely make out the way another few blind meters, and the car goes over. Then, suddenly, two glints of light flare up in the darkness. A cat sitting on a fence has caught the headlights. It traced the edge of the road for the driver and saved his life. And, as it turned out, millions of others. That driver was not the type to simply breathe out and drive on. His name was Percy Shaw, and instead of forgetting the fright, he started thinking. What if lights like those cat's eyes ran not just from one chance animal, but all the way along the road? What if the road markings themselves lit up in headlights? From one moment in the dark, an idea was born that changed the roads of the entire planet. Everyone has seen the glow of a cat's eyes in the dark. Shine a torch or headlights at a cat and its eyes flash with an eerie greenish or golden fire. Dogs, foxes, deer by the roadside, same story. It seems as though the eyes glow on their own. But they don't. They don't emit light. They return your own light back to you. And exactly how they do it is the whole secret. This is important to understand from the start. A cat's eyes are not a light source. In complete, absolute darkness, they don't glow, there's nothing to return. The moment a beam appears from headlights, a torch, the moon, the eyes, throw it back, lighting up. They work as a reflector, not as a bulb. And this natural reflector is built in a surprisingly clever way. Let's look inside a cat's eye. A cat is a night hunter, and nature gave it eyes tuned for the dark. Behind the retina, where we have only a dark wall, a cat has a special reflective layer. In scientific terms, the tapetum lucidum, meaning bright carpet. It's a tiny biological mirror deep inside the eye. And its job is very important, to help the cat see in near total darkness. Here's how it works. Light enters the eye and hits the retina, the layer of light-sensitive cells. Some of it is caught right there, but some slips past uncaptured. In our eyes, that lost light is simply gone. In a cat's eye, the mirror layer behind the retina catches it and sends it back through those same cells a second time. The light gets a second chance to be noticed. And that's the whole trick. Every scrap of light the cat uses twice, on the way in and on the way back. Its retina receives almost twice the signal from the same meager share of nightlight. That's why a cat sees perfectly where we're already blind. Its eye literally wrings maximum signal from the smallest crumbs of illumination. And the side effect of that little mirror is the very glow we see in the dark. Not all of the return light is captured by the retina on its second pass. The excess flies back out of the eye outward, back toward where it came from. That's what we see as the glow. A cat's eyes burn precisely because they throw our light back at us. And right here is the detail that's the real heart of this whole story. The light doesn't return just anywhere. Look closely. A cat's eyes shine brightest when the light source is right next to your own eyes. Light from your headlights comes back precisely to your headlights. The light of your gaze comes back precisely to you. The reflected beam flies almost exactly back to where it came from. Not sideways, not randomly back to the source. It's that particular feature that makes the effect so useful. And it has a name. It's called retroreflection. The prefix retro means back. Retroreflection is when light returns precisely in the direction it came from, back to the source itself. No matter what angle it arrived at, it flies back to whoever sent it. Sounds simple, but in its consequences, it's strikingly different from the ordinary mirror we're all used to. That difference is worth feeling. Think about an ordinary mirror. Light hits it at an angle and bounces off at the same angle in the other direction. Like a ball off a wall, throw it from the left, it bounces right. Shine a torch at a mirror from the side, the beam heads off to one side, missing you entirely. To catch the glint, you have to stand directly in front of it. A mirror bounces light away from the source unless you're perfectly opposite it. A retroreflector behaves differently. A retroreflector sends light straight back to its source at almost any angle. Shine at it from the side below, diagonally, the beam still comes back to you instead of flying past. An ordinary mirror only works head-on. A retroreflector works at almost any angle. That angle independence is its superpower. And on a road, it's priceless. Think about what this means for a driver. Headlights shine forward at all sorts of angles to whatever lies ahead. An ordinary surface would bounce that light sideways, and you'd see nothing. A retroreflector catches the light from your headlights and sends it straight back right into your eyes. The road markings seem to light up for you personally. Every driver sees the road illuminated by their own headlight. And here's the beautiful part. A retroreflector returns your light to you and the oncoming driver's light to them. Each person sees the road lit up by their own headlights just for them. Light always finds its owner. No power supply needed, no wiring the cat's eye, simply sends back what you shone at it. Passive, permanent, unfailing. Brilliant in its simplicity. But let's return to our hero. That foggy night, Percy Shaw wasn't thinking in terms like retroreflection. He simply saw how a cat's eyes had saved him on the edge of a cliff, and a thought lit up inside him. That's it! That's the solution! The road should light itself up, reflecting headlights. All that remained was figuring out how to reproduce a cat's eye in glass and steel. And here's where the human part of the story begins. Percy Shaw was no credentialed scientist. He was a self-taught craftsman from Yorkshire, from a plain, working-class family. Hands, ingenuity, and stubbornness that was his whole capital. He worked in road maintenance and knew firsthand how dangerous it was to drive at night on unlit roads. The problem was close and personal to him, and now a solution was beginning to take shape. He just needed to work it out. Shaw got to work. He needed a device that, like a cat's eye, would catch the headlights and send them back to the driver. He experimented with glass spheres and lenses that would gather light and return it to its source. Many evenings in the workshop, many failed versions. He tried different shapes, glasses, angles, until he achieved that very effect. The natural idea had to be made to work in metal, and he did it. Shaw created a road stud, a small device with reflective elements that sent headlights back to the car. He called his invention the cat's eye, an honest tribute to that cat on the fence. In 1934, Shaw received British patent GB 436290 for it. The idea became an official invention. Inside his stud sat glass sphere lenses. Such a sphere works cleverly. It gathers incoming light, focuses it onto a small mirror at the back, and sends it back the same way to the source. In essence, Shaw had reproduced a cat's eye. A lens instead of the eye's crystalline lens, a mirror instead of the tapetum. Light enters, is focused, reflected, and returns to the headlights. The cat's trick now embedded in the road surface. The secret is in the geometry. A round sphere lens catches light from different angles and brings it to a single point on the mirror at the back. From there, the light goes straight back to where it came from, your headlights. That's exactly why a cat's eye returns the beam to its source across a wide range of angles rather than sideways like a flat mirror. Shape does all the work. Precisely calculated shape and no electronics whatsoever. And now a detail that makes you want to tip your hat to Shaw. Roads are dirty. Dust, water, rubber. Any lens would quickly get coated in grime and go blind. Shaw's solution was brilliant. He set the lenses inside a flexible rubber housing. When a wheel rolls over the stud, it presses it down and the rubber, like an eyelid, wipes the lenses clean. The cat's eye blinks under the wheel and cleans itself. Like a real eye. Think about the elegance of this. Every car that passes doesn't just use the stud, it cleans it at the same time. The wheel presses, the rubber wipes, the lenses, the wheel lifts off, and the lenses are clean and gleaming again. The device maintains itself without a single person with a cloth. Shaw borrowed from the cat not just the mirror inside the eye, but effectively the blinking eyelid as well. That's attention to detail. At first, though, the world didn't rush to buy Shaw's invention. As so often happens with good ideas, the cat's eye spread slowly. They were installed cautiously, tentatively, in isolated spots. Shaw believed in his device, but sales were sluggish, and the invention's future hung in the balance. This brilliant thing could easily have remained a local curiosity from Yorkshire. What helped, strangely enough, was a large and tragic event. The Second World War came, and Britain imposed strict blackout conditions. Streetlights were turned off, headlights were dimmed to stop enemy bombers from locating cities from the air. Roads were plunged into deep darkness, and driving became genuinely dangerous. And that's when Shaw's cat's eyes proved their worth. They needed no electricity, and they shone in the beam of dimmed headlights, marking the way through the dark. Their moment had arrived. In the darkness of wartime roads, the cat's eyes performed brilliantly in every sense. They were installed in large numbers. They saved lives night after night. After the war, there was no going back. Cat's eyes became a standard of British roads. Shaw's invention finally received the recognition it deserved. From a local curiosity, it became an indispensable part of the road. The stubborn, self-taught craftsman had more than paid off. And Shaw seized his moment. He founded a company to manufacture cat's eyes and set up mass production. Yesterday's craftsman became a successful entrepreneur, and his cat's eyes spread across the roads of the entire country, then the world. He didn't sell the patent for a song or abandon the idea halfway. He built a whole business on it. The man from working-class Yorkshire had made himself, and stayed himself in the process. Pleasingly, wealth didn't go to Shaw's head. He remained a plain Yorkshireman, lived in his home region, without show or extravagance. He was honored for his contribution to road safety, but the limelight didn't spoil him. The man whose invention saved countless lives stayed to the end, a modest craftsman who had simply solved one important problem well, and his solution works to this day every night. Today, road studs are everywhere in the world. Millions and millions of cat's eyes are set into the markings of roads on every continent. Every night, they quietly do their job, catching headlights and returning them to drivers, outlining lanes, bends, and road edges. We're so used to them, we don't notice. Yet, every one of them is a direct descendant of that cat on the Yorkshire fence. Counting the lives saved by cat's eyes is simply impossible, there are too many. Every time a driver in fog or darkness spotted a bend in time and didn't go off the road, a cat's eye quietly did its work. Night driving became incomparably safer thanks to them. Behind that modest gleaming dot on the asphalt are countless saved drivers and passengers. The cat's trick stands watch every single night. But retroreflection didn't stay only on roads. Once the principle was understood, return light to its source, it spread everywhere. Look around on any evening. There are things all around you that flash in headlights or a torch beam. All of them are relatives of the cat's eye, all running on the same trick. One principle, borrowed from a night predator, spread across dozens of everyday objects around us. Let's walk through some of them. First, the bicycle. Those red reflectors at the back, the orange ones on the wheels and pedals, they're retroreflectors. They don't light up on their own and need no power. But the moment a car's headlights catch the cyclist in the dark, the reflectors flash bright lights back at the driver. The headlight beam returns precisely to the driver, and they see the cyclist in time. Simple pieces of plastic saving lives on dark road. Next, road signs. Have you noticed how at night they seem to glow the moment headlights touch them? By day they're just painted metal. The secret is a retroreflective coating made from millions of tiny glass spheres or small prisms. Each one sends your headlights straight back to you. The sign lights up specifically for your car, brightly and clearly. The same cat's eye just spread in a thin layer across the entire sign. Then there are reflective vests and strips on clothing, road workers, police officers, paramedics, children walking to school. Gray by day, these strips light up in headlights at night and make a person visible from far away. Same principle, headlights go back to the driver, outlining the person. A retroreflective strip on a jacket is literally a cat's eye sewn into the fabric. It makes people visible exactly when it matters most. Once you start noticing, retroreflection turns up everywhere. Road markings on asphalt, car license plates, life jackets on aircraft, cinema screens, strips on school backpacks, pet collars. Anything that needs to flare up in a beam of light and say, "I'm here," runs on the cat's principle. We're surrounded by retroreflectors and barely notice them. Yet each one is a quiet guardian of our safety. Stop and take in the scope of this. The same trick returning light precisely to its source works in a cat's eye, on a fence, in a road stud in the middle of a motorway, on a rescue worker's vest, on a road sign, and on a child's backpack. From a nocturnal predator to an entire global safety industry. One optical idea, multiplied by billions of objects, protecting people across the planet every night. Quiet and colossal at the same time. And there's a special beauty in this. The solution needs no electricity, no motors, no electronics, a piece of cleverly arranged glass or plastic, and it returns light to those who shine at it for decades. No power supply, no maintenance except rain and wheels, passive, cheap, permanent. Sometimes, the most reliable technology isn't the most complex, but the most elegant. Retroreflection is exactly that. To be honest, Shaw didn't copy a cat's eye cell by cell. He didn't grow tapetum tissue or take a cat apart under a microscope. He grasped the idea itself, returned light to its source, and realized it in his own way, with glass, lenses, and small mirrors. Nature supplied the principle, the engineer found his own way to reproduce it. That's how biomimicry works. Not literal copying, but the transfer of a good idea. The key is spotting that idea in the first place. So what did we really take from the cat? Not its literal eye. We took the optical principle, returned light precisely to where it came from. That idea was realized in glass and plastic, and it spread across the roads, signs, and clothing of the whole world. A principle from the eye of a night animal migrated into the foundation of road safety. One small cat on a fence, a hint that turned out to be of planetary scale. So, it turns out, an ordinary cat proved to be a brilliant optical engineer. Its eye solves two problems at once, seeing in the dark and sending light back to its source elegantly through clever geometry alone. And nature refined this long before the first car or the first road ever existed. We merely noticed and reproduced it. As so often in these stories, nature turned out to be one engineering step ahead. Right there, on a nighttime fence. And this story changes how we see that familiar glow. Before, just a little eerie and amusing. Now it's clear. What we're looking at is a natural retroreflector, the very principle that saves lives on roads across the world. In the ordinary flicker of eyes by the roadside hides serious engineering. Sometimes the solution to the most important problem looks us straight in the face from the darkness and waits for us to finally look closer. Put it all together. A cat's eye returns light to its source thanks to a mirror behind the retina, which is why it glows in the dark. Percy Shaw spotted an idea in this, reproduced it in glass, and gave the world the road cat's eye. And the physics of retroreflection spread further to signs, vests, and bicycles. The night safety of millions, grown from one glance from a cat on a fence. That's what it means to look closely at nature. Here's the thought to leave with. That night, Percy Shaw didn't invent anything that hadn't existed before. He simply noticed something millions of people had seen before him and paid no mind. Cats' eyes had been glowing in headlights for centuries. But only one person asked, why? And turned that question into an invention that saves lives. Genius is often not inventing the unprecedented, but seeing the wonder in the familiar. Consider, how many drivers before Shaw saw those same glowing eyes at the roadside? Thousands, tens of thousands. Some were frightened, some smiled, some didn't notice at all. And only one turned that moment into an idea that changed the world. The difference wasn't in what Shaw saw, it was in what he didn't brush aside. Observation plus stubbornness, sometimes that's all great inventions are made of. From a simple, why is that? The cat's eye holds another quiet lesson. It consumes nothing and costs almost nothing, yet it works for decades and saves lives. We're used to thinking powerful solutions are complex, energy, hungry, expensive, but here's a piece of glass and rubber that simply works because of how it's shaped. Sometimes the best answer isn't about adding power, it's about cleverly using what's already there. The headlights were already there. Shaw just sent their light back to the driver. And this is perhaps the central recurring lesson. Nature is a vast patent office where solutions to every challenge have been refined over millions of years. A cat's eye, a cicada's wing, a spider's web, a shell, a firefly's lantern, all of these are ready-made patents sitting in open access. All it takes is a closer look and the question, how does this work? The best inventors are often the most attentive observers, and the richest laboratory is right outside the window. Think about how different the night road has become. Once, driving in the dark on an unfamiliar road was a game of chance. No markings, no reference points, just black unknown. Now the road guides you, lighting up in your headlights. Bends, edges, lanes, all visible. We take this invisible safety net for granted. And it all began with two glints of light from a cat's eyes at the roadside. And you know what's most inspiring about all this? To make his breakthrough, Shaw needed no laboratory, no academic degree, no rare materials. He needed open eyes and one simple question. Why do cat's eyes glow, and could that be put to use? The greatest ideas often begin not with complex equations, but with a childlike why. All it takes is not unlearning how to ask it. The world around us is full of clues. This story has a happy ending for all time. Percy Shaw is long gone, and his cat's eyes keep working every night on every continent. He left behind not a monument, but millions of gleaming dots on roads that silently protect people. The finest legacy an inventor can leave is not their name in a textbook, but the lives being saved right now, as you watch this. Thank you to the cat, and thank you to the man who didn't drive on. A tiny mirror in a cat's eye gave the world retroreflection and made night roads safer for all of us. It all comes down to clever geometry that returns light to its source, not expensive technology. And this is just one story of many where nature already figured everything out for us. We've gathered quite a few of them, from a cicada's wing to a spider's web to a seashell, and in every one, the same lesson. Keep looking at the world and asking, why does that work? So next time you drive through the night and the road lights up before you in gleaming dots, think of that cat on the Yorkshire fence. And of the man who didn't just take fright, but asked why. Nature has been writing its patents for tens of millions of years, and they lie all around us in open access. You just have to look into the darkness. What will you notice? Look carefully and ask, why does that work? Thanks for watching. You're definitely a little smarter now, and you know one more story about how humans borrow their best ideas from nature.